Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, children. We are going to start our chapter 2.3. Our topic is steps in collection of data, and under that we are going to discuss about different steps that involve in statistical inquiry and steps in collection of data. These are the two topics we are going to discuss. First one, statistical inquiry. So what is meant by statistical inquiry? Statistical inquiry, it refers to the collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. So statistical inquiry, we are going to collect the data, we are going to present it, we are going to analyze it, and we are going to interpret it. These are all the various steps that involves in statistical inquiry. So present means we are going to tabulate it, how we are going to present it. So next step is analyzing. So we are going to study in deep the collected data, and interpret means we are going to explain it, how we are going to expose it. And next one is what is meant by collection of data. So collection of data is nothing but gathering information by contacting those who can supply the information or about those whom this information is to be collected. So we decided to gather some information by contacting the person who is going to give the answer for our question. So we are going to collect the information, those who is responsible to answer the question asked by us, and about what we are going to ask that person. So collection of data is gathering information by contacting those who can supply the information required by us and those about whom this information is to be collected. Next one, presentation of data. So we collected the data. Now we are going to present it. So organizing data in the form of statistical tables, graphs, or in any other suitable form. So the data collected, we are going to present it. Either we may present in a tabulation form or through graphs. In your previous classes and all, you would have drawn graphs plotting some points. This year, for example, if you take the wheat or paddy is produced this much of tons from 2000 to 2005, and in the next plot you can plot that 2010 to 15 this much of tons have been harvested. So like that you can plot it in a graphical representation, or some other diagrammatical representation may also be followed by you. So you can represent whatever you want to expose. It should be understand either in a tabular form or in a graphical representation or through any diagrams. Third one, analysis of data. So how we are going to analyze it? We are going to classify. For example, if we are going to collect about the literacy rate of our population, we have to collect a large amount of data, isn't it? So 3 to 5 years, this percentage of children are there, and 7 to like that 5 to 10 years, this so much of children are there. So like that you can classify the age group of the children into, you can divide it into different categories. So this categorization must be in accordance with the purpose of statistical inquiry. So how we are going to classify this means, you would have collected data for various purposes. Your goal will be certain things. So according to your need, according to the purpose, and according to your need only, your inquiry should be planned. According to that only, you have to classify the collected data. Next one, interpretation of data. So, inferences means opinions and conclusions drawn out of this analyzed data, and interpretation of data answers the question. So, you may have lot of questions in your mind. So, according to that, you should plan. So, this is the final step in statistical investigation. So, you should plan the questions in such a way you should get the answers which you require. So these are all the steps which are involved in statistical inquiry. Next we are going to discuss about the steps in collection of data. So far we discussed about the steps in statistical inquiry. Now steps in collection of data. So first one, a statistician should draw a complete plan and he should decide whether which method he is going to adapt, whether he is going to adapt a sample method or census method, and he has to decide the design of the form or questionnaire. Questionnaire is a set of questions which you have planned to ask to the person, and you have to design the form. Next one, decide the mode of distribution of questionnaire. So already you prepared a set of questions, isn't it? So how you are going to distribute the questions to the person who is going to answer you, and check the filled in forms. So after giving the forms, you have to get it back and you have to check whether all the questions have been completed and whether the answers are correct. That's the correctness of the data, that also you should check. Now we are going to discuss about each topic in detail. First one, draw a complete plan. So you have to decide what ought to be obtained. So if you have to decide what is the information you required and for what purpose you are collecting the data. And it is necessary to draw a complete plan as possible before the actual collection begins. So before collecting the data itself, you should have a complete plan. So the statistician has to plan three things. First one, what data are to be obtained, and second thing, from whom the data are to be obtained, and the third thing, by what methods. So what is the method he is going to follow to get the data. So the statistician has to plan the expenditure, how much he is going to spend in collection of data, and how much time he is going to spend to collect the data, and what is the time required by him to collect the data. So all these steps, subsequent steps he has to take before he involves in collection of data. Second one, he has to decide what method he is going to follow for the collection of data, whether he is going to adopt a census method or sample method. First one, what is meant by a census method? A survey which includes every element of the population. For example, if the government is going to collect the information about the occupational structure of the people living in a country, the government can choose two methods. So through census method, the government can has to include each and every member of the population. So but in small sample method, the government can include a smaller group selected from the population, from which they will get relevant information. So when each and every individual is contacted and we are going to record their views, then that method is called census method. When suppose if we are going to involve only a part of total population, say 1 crore, if we are going to get information about the 1 crore people, we may meet some lakhs of people we can meet, and we can gather the information and we can record their occupations and apply the result to the entire population. So the same data will be collected to represent the total population. So that is called sample method. So it is very clear that sample method when compared to the census method involve less money, and time consumption will also be less. So for example, already I told you government agencies only will involve in data collection, because the expenses will be more for an individual to spend and collect the required data. So the budget will be more if we decided to follow census method, because if we want to meet each and every individual, it will cost more, and also it will consume a lot of time. Next one, prepare designer of the form as well as the questionnaire. So the statistician, he should design the form in such a way he has to get answer for all the questions. So designing of the questionnaire is influenced by many considerations, that is how many questions he is going to ask from the respondent. So respondent means a person who is going to answer our question. So first, how many questions are to be asked from the respondents? If there are too many questions, sometimes the respondent may lose interest and he may not cooperate, so he may start giving vague answers also sometimes. So the questions number must be determined keeping in mind the psychology of the respondent. So the respondent must be interested to answer all your questions. Then only you can also get the information required by you. Next one, each question should be clearly phrased so that clear answers comes from the respondent. So the question should be phrased in such a manner, planned in such a manner that only short answers are required. So for examples, the answers may be in yes or no type. So all possible alternative answers may be given in the questionnaire itself, so that the respondent is required to tick the relevant answer. So the purpose is to make the respondent very comfortable and consume time also as little as possible. And the third one, whether the form is to be filled by an enumerator. Enumerator means the person who is asking the question, and a respondent means the person who is going to answer the question. So they have to decide whether the form is to be filled in by the enumerator or by the respondent, or both of them they are going to combine and do the work. So these are all the things that statistician should plan priorly. Next one, decide the mode of distribution of questionnaire. So there are two modes involved in distribution of questionnaire. So one is mail questionnaire and another one is personal interview. So first one, I told you two ways of distributing questionnaire, that is mail questionnaire. First, what is meant by mail questionnaire? If the enumerator is going to send the questionnaire through post, so then that type of data collecting, it is called mail questionnaire method. And a personal interview means the enumerator is going to contact the person respondent directly, either face to face or through telephone. So such type of interview is called a personal interview method. So the statistician can follow either mail questionnaire type or personal interview type, and both has its advantages. Now advantages of mail questionnaire. First one, lower cost. As we are going to send the mail through a post, the cost will be less. If you plan to go and meet that respondent directly, personally, you have to spend more, and you have to spend more money as well as your time, isn't it? So when compared to personal interview, mail questionnaire cost will be less. Wider reach. So it you can send the questionnaire to some other district or some state, even to other countries also, isn't it? So through mail, the questions, wider reach of questions will be there. Next one, independent views by respondents. So if you meet personally, no, you may influence your views on the respondents. So through this mail questionnaire, no, he can give his own answers. Nobody can influence influence the person. These are all some of the advantages of the mail questionnaire. Next one, advantages of personal interview. So we have some advantages over personal interview, that is spontaneous response. So if you are going to meet the respondent personally face to face or over telephone, the respondent is in a position that he has to answer then and there whether yes or no. So on the spot you can get the information. Next one, large response rate. So you can ask different questions continuously until you get the answer. So you can there will be large response through this. Next one, clarification sought by respondents or answered. If you are going to send the questionnaire through mail, he may confused. He may have some doubts whether to attend this question or not, whether to answer this question or not, or how to answer this. He may have some doubts. He couldn't clarify. But if you are conducting a personal interview, means on the spot, the respondent can clarify his doubts, and you also can get the answer required by you. So these are all some of the advantages of personal interview. Next one, check the filled in forms for completeness and consistency. So a statistician can check the filled in forms. So this is the last stage in data collection. So this stage comes when duly filled in forms are returned by the respondent. So if you get back the forms you sent, if you want to edit, you can edit, and if you want to make some alterations, you can do it. So this is the last step involved in data collection. After this only, you have to take steps further. Now, after all these steps, the data recorded in the questionnaire, it is ready for summarization. You can present it, and now it is ready for your use. So the statistician can make use of this, and he can proceed further. Today we discussed about the various steps involved in statistical inquiry as well as the steps involved in collection of data. Thank you, children.